Alright, so this is actually one of my favorite topics, and it's actually a really, really nice topic. You just have to be keen with your skills, and I'm just gonna dive right in and do a couple basic questions. So, for example, if I had something like this, 7ab squared over 10cd times 5c squared d squared over 14b cubed. All I'm going to do is I'd factor, but there's really nothing to factor. So I'm going to cancel, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to blue. I know that 7 goes into 14. Well, 7 goes into 7 once, and 7 goes into 14 twice. 5 goes into 5 once, and 5 goes into 10 twice. I have a c, I have a c squared, so that just becomes c. I have a d, and I have a d squared, so that just becomes a d. I have a b squared, and I have a b cubed, so that just becomes b. And now, what am I left with? And if I circle everything that I'm left with this a. No, that's not the color I want to use. Let's say I have this a, I have a c, and I have a d, so I'm left with ACD over 2 times 2 times b, which is 4b. And that's it. It's in simplest form. Good to go. Now, they're not all quite that nice. Let's say I need to factor. So let's take a look at a good one here. Let's say I had something like this. Y squared minus 81 over y plus 9 quantity squared. Times y squared, plus 14y plus 45, and let's say 2y plus 10, right? So now I'm going to factor first, and when I factor, I get y plus 9, y minus 9, because this is the difference of perfect squares. Here I just get y plus 9 times y plus 9. Here I'm going to get y plus 9 times y plus 5. And here I'm going to factor out the 2 and I get y plus 5. Now I factored everything, so now I get to cancel. And this is the part that I like. Y plus 9 cancel out with y plus 9. Y plus 9 here cancel out with y plus 9. Y plus 5 cancel out with y plus 5. So my final answer is y minus 9 over 2. That's all. That's all it is. I'm going to do one more example with you, and then we're going to move into division. And actually, the division is actually pretty cool. Let's say we have something like this. So I had x squared minus 3x plus 2 over 2x squared minus 2 times 2x and x minus 2. Well, if I factor, I'm going to recognize that this is x minus 2 and x minus 1. I'm going to factor out a 2 here, but then you're going to be left with x squared minus 1. So I'm going to factor out 2. I'm going to recognize that that's the difference of perfect squares. And then this is just 2x. Oops. And that's just x minus 2. So take a look now. Now I can cancel. Boom, boom, that's gone. I can actually cancel out this 2 with this 2. And actually cancel out this x minus 1 with that. And look what you're left with. You're left with x over x plus 1. Be careful because you may not cancel out that and say it's 1 over 1, which goes, that'd be 1. But you can't do it. Alright, so the last thing I want to do here is I want to show you how to divide rational expressions. And what I want you to realize before we start dividing rational expressions is if you had a over b divided by c over d, if I wrote that as a fraction, it'd be the ugliest fraction you ever saw, but that's fine. Remember, you can always multiply a fraction by 1, and you're not actually changing the fraction. You'll change what it looks like, but you're not actually changing it. If I did this, I could say, well, C cancels out with C, and D cancels out with D, and what I'm left with is AB times D over C. So, A over B divided by C over D is really equal to A over B times D over C. If you don't really get that explanation, watch it again. It's not really that hard of a concept, but I do want you to understand it. If you don't understand it after watching it a couple times, don't fear, it's not the end of the world. But let's take a look at an example here. Let's say we had something like this. So we had x squared minus 5x plus 4 over 2x divided by 2x minus 2 over 8x squared. Now, what I like to do is, I like to call this the keep, change, flip. I keep, I change the sign, and I flip. So x squared minus 5x plus 4 stays the same. Over 2x, I change division, multiplication, and I flip my second. 8x squared over 2x minus 2. Now I factor, and I'm going to get x minus 4 and x minus 1 over 2x times 8x squared, 2 times x minus 1. Now I cancel x minus 1 and x minus 1. 2 goes into 8 4 times, but 2 goes into 4 twice. X goes into x squared x times. And so I'm left with nothing in my denominator, that all canceled out. So I'm left with 2x times x minus 4. That's it. Hope this was useful. I hope you understand it. Good luck.